Hey there, here we are. I am with my good friend Harley Schuder. When I first met her, gosh, I don't know, what was it, a few months ago.
Yeah.
Um, the thing that struck me the most was she is super passionate about what she did, and I didn't know anybody that was super passionate about what she does. Actually, I know very little, but I think it's my responsibility as a local business person to introduce our clients and customers to other businesses and business owners that do a phenomenal job for their clients. So that's why I brought Harley on, and I want to introduce you to her, and she'll tell you a little bit about herself, her background, and we'll go with questions from there.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Let's get going.
Awesome. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Harley Schuder. I am a licensed insurance agent and I specialize in Medicare. So, a lot of my time and resources have been devoted to educating people on Medicare and just teaching them the difference in original Medicare versus the supplemental plans and the Advantage plans. And then also explain exactly the differences in those plans, as well as kind of break down the commercials that they see online, the commercials, the emails, the mail, the phone calls, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I know my parents get inundated with that. Right? They're
Oh,
over
yeah.
70. So I know you had spoken a meeting that a lot of that is hardcore sales. I don't know. I haven't had to put up with it yet, but tell a little bit about that, I guess, that end of things and
Yeah, yeah.
what makes you different or
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, just as a disclosure, I'm not with or endorsed by the federal government or with the Medicare program. I do not offer every plan available in the area. As an independent insurance agent, I do currently represent a handful of carriers, but not all of them. The beneficiaries, if they have any questions, they can contact Medicare.gov, 1-800 Medicare, or the SHIP program, the local state health insurance program, to get more information about all plans in the area. Now, as a licensed insurance agent with an emphasis on Medicare, my role is again to explain the difference in traditional Medicare versus what the private insurance companies offer. So, traditional Medicare, they'll cover 80% of beneficiaries' hospital bills, and doctors. So part A will cover hospitals and part B will cover doctors. Now, when you break it down, there are a lot of gaps in that coverage. And so the private insurance companies came in and watched this unfold for a few years and then offered up supplemental plans. This is the plan C, plan F, plan A, plan N, plan G. These you add an extra premium on top of your original Medicare premium. And then you have coverage for anything you use. On top of that 20%. But what this does is it limits your exposure. So by getting an additional plan on top of your Medicare, you're limiting your exposure and putting a cap at what you would have to pay within a year. With original Medicare, you just don't have that.
so it's unlimited, like they could pay thousands
Yeah.
and thousands above.
So a good example of that would be, say, a senior had original Medicare and they went in and they had a big fall. They had to have a huge surgery, and this was a really expensive surgery. Say it's a $200,000 surgery. That's really expensive. They're responsible for 20% of that. That's $40,000,
Yeah.
right? So that is a extreme, but that's what it could come to if you don't have the best cards in your hand, so to speak, right? A $2,000 surgery, you cover 20%. That's a little bit more doable, but those big unprecedented issues that might pop up, that's more where you get into the weeds of the issues and things like that.
And that does happen quite a bit. So I mean, it's not like it's a one-off thing. That does happen quite a bit.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's where I come into play. I come in and I educate on, if that does happen and you have this plan, this is what would happen. If you have this one, this is what could happen. If you have this one, this is what could happen. What I always say is I give my clients the tools and resources to make a knowledgeable decision on what plan they want, because I can't tell them what plan to go with. One, because I can't, and two, because it's not my job. My job is not to tell them exactly what plan is best for them. I have to give them all of the information so that they can make a knowledgeable decision.
Cool, cool. So as far as the right people to do business with you, who would that be? Who are your people that would benefit from having a conversation with you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Anyone, right? That's what everyone says. Anyone
Yeah.
can talk to me is helpful. But no, I mean, anyone really can, because whenever we met a couple months ago, what was your knowledge on Medicare? I mean,
Zero.
it must have been pretty
Zero.
small. And so because of that, I can really educate anyone. Everyone has parents, grandparents, in-laws, and people have individuals in their lives that they know for, years in advance, right? And so what I always say is that it's important to advocate for yourself. And if a senior gets to a position to where they can't advocate for themselves, they have to have someone who can advocate for them. But if you aren't knowledgeable on a subject, how can you advocate for them, right? So the general public, anyone. But aside from that, doctors and dentists, they're really great for me because I can help strengthen their relationships with their patients by strengthening their knowledge and making them more credible. So that's really beneficial to them, as well as to me, to be that with less of a better word to say, expert on hand, right?
No, that's
Now,
awesome.
now, in addition to that, veterans, they can help dissect how they can pair their VA benefits or their TRICARE for life, and how that complements Medicare. I explain which one's primary, how to use them both at the same time, things like that. And then individuals who have diabetes, chronic heart failure, cardiovascular problems, these qualify as chronic conditions, and so they qualify for extra benefits. And now those can be explained, but they have to know about what these extra benefits are and the fact even that they qualify for them. And then the most importantly, the individuals who really benefit the most from having a conversation with me are people who are on Medicaid. Now, Medicare is for seniors and individuals who have special situations. Medicaid is for low income. So an individual, say they going through a rough patch and they just don't have the money that they try to tuck away in Social Security. They don't have that. They make, less than 4 figures a month from their Social Security. That can really put them into a really hard predicament. And so I explain what their options look like, what kind of resources they can get to, and what kind of plans that they can complement with being in such a difficult time.
Awesome. Yeah, I had a client the other day, and their mother was telling me, about the donut hole. I don't even. Does that sound like something? But and how she fell into it, right? So,
Yeah.
what is that?
Oh my gosh, the donut hole. So I'll say one thing. I have a completely different vocabulary than what I had, 2, 3, 4 years ago. The donut hole is not my favorite subject, but then again, also my favorite subject, so that I can teach people more about it.
I like
So,
donuts.
yeah, well, not necessarily comparing to that, but what the donut hole is, it's also known as the coverage gap, and what the federal government, what seniors have to deal with is when they fall into the coverage gap, it's because they have gotten into a certain threshold that they've spent on their prescription drugs, and they have to be in this donut hole, in this coverage gap, for a certain amount of time until they get to a different threshold to get out of it. So this is an annual basis. So it starts January to December, and it's covered under the prescription coverage of an individual's plan. Whenever you go to like a fundraiser or something and you see that thermometer and they start at the bottom and they try to get to the top and they want to get to a certain number and then they get
Yeah.
up as they go. Well, so think about it like that. So whenever you have a senior and they have prescriptions, say they have 10 prescriptions and each one is $100.
Okay.
The price is maybe they don't pay $100, but they have a copay of maybe $10, while the plan that they're on covers the rest of that $90. Okay. So
Okay.
say that they're in that position in January. Well, they have 10 at $100 a pop, even though they're only paying 10, right? They're only paying $10 for each. They cost $100. So that's $1,000 just in month one.
Okay.
So as they get to May, they're going to fall into a coverage gap and get past that threshold. The threshold is $4,600, somewhere around there. So once they get there, they drop into the donut hole and they're there for a certain amount of time. And then until they get to a different threshold, which is around 84, 7,000, they get out of the threshold, and it's called a catastrophic phase. And so their price of their prescriptions go down tremendously, and it's good. But for individuals who are on a fixed income, that's a really difficult situation to be in. So what I do is I always explain to them what their options are. Based off their income, they can get extra help by directly from the government, or they can get extra help from manufacturers themselves. A lot of manufacturers will have these patient assistance programs where they have to make below 400% of the federal poverty level. And so and this is some patient assistance programs, not all, but if they qualify for those benefits, then they can get it that way. If neither of those options work out, then they need to talk to their doctor, get a letter of necessity. The doctor can mail in a letter to the manufacturer, or to the plan, hey, this person absolutely needs this. It's absolutely necessary. You have to get them on it, and it'll be overlooked. But it really does go back to that vocabulary that I'm talking about. You have to advocate for yourself. You really, really have to advocate for yourself. So there are options, but you just have to know about what those options are when you get into the donut hole, the coverage.
And the normal person isn't going to just know that, right?
Yeah,
so
no, it takes a lot of research and hard work to figure that out.
Right. So I've seen commercials like on beneficiaries and different benefits that they'd receive. Tell me a little bit about that and how that works.
Oh, these commercials. Sometimes they're like too good to be true, honestly. They come out and they're like, oh, you can get all these extra benefits, free transportation, and a lot of money and groceries and utility. I mean, all this stuff. And that sounds all well, great and dandy, but you have to qualify for those benefits. So these commercials are good marketing for someone like me, because it does get a person's wheels turning, trying to figure out if they could qualify. But it's always difficult to encourage those commercials, because when a senior calls in on those commercials, they call a 1-800 number. Their information gets thrown into a pot of leads that can be, dissected and thrown out for data, or, sold off, or whatever that could happen with it. They could get additional phone calls just by calling a commercial. And so what I always tell my clients to do is, if they see these commercials, give me a call and I'll tell you if you qualify for them. Whenever I got them signed up on a plan, I would have told them if they would qualify for them. But those commercials are good because they do get a senior's wheels turning. But yeah, no, it's they're good, but they're also so bad. But
they're a hardcore sales funnel, right? Like you go into that and you've got 50 people calling. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, for marketing purposes, that, and I will say CMS is who regulates me as an agent. So it's Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services. And they have come out with provisions to try to get rid of those call centers that will be enacted in 2024. And we're excited about this because as agents like myself and other agents like me who are really passionate about our careers and are in the field and trying to help and serve, it's great because we get rid of those call centers, get rid of those scammers trying to call it that give us a bad name. But at the end of the day, we can only, with that comes other regulations that we have to abide by, which is totally fine. As long as you're doing everything right, you can deal with a little bit of regulation strength.
I imagine too, you probably get, the predatory people that are selling things that shouldn't be sold or they don't need,
Yeah.
Just because I'm sure it's probably commission based, or they're paying money for those leads. And
Exactly. So that's another thing, which is a great point you bring up. My services are always completely free to my clients. They don't ever pay me anything. I'm paid by the carriers. And so that's good for a multitude of reasons, but it's also important that I elaborate for my clients and let them know that I'm not working for the money. I'm working for the education and the benefit that I get from becoming so passionate about what I do. But yeah, no, services are completely free. It's a beautiful, beautiful gig for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, like I said, I know absolutely zero about your industry. I've learned more since talking to you. But the one thing that always came across is, one, you were super passionate about it, super knowledgeable, and that you really cared about your customers. And those are three awesome qualities to have, especially in an industry like yours, I'm sure. What else do you offer or do you do that helps you stand out from your competitors or other people that do the same thing you do?
Yeah. So really, it's the education piece that's a part of my position. I'm in a sales position and I'm here to make that money, but I'm not unethical. I am a very ethical person, and I've really grown to enjoy so much of the education piece, because when I do go out and I do have the sales position that I am in, I get to meet so many fascinating people. And whether they come with me or they don't, I know that I've taught them something, and that's a really rewarding feeling, especially whenever you're around seniors who, depending on where they are in their life, maybe they're super great, they know exactly what they need, they know that they don't need that, and they cut a conversation short, which it happens, and that's totally fine. But then you have the seniors that are maybe a little delusional, don't quite know what they have, and don't know what their options are. Those are the ones that I get to really help, and I really see my cup get full really quickly from that, because I know that they're really thankful for having a conversation with someone they don't know from Adam.
Yeah, and I know one of the big things in our business in real estate, we're having a lot of people that are moving down, right? So they're getting older, the house is getting too big, and now they're stepping down. So this is probably going to be a pretty good lead for you, I guess, or somebody that you can at least talk to and talk through their options and see if they have the right things or not. Do you do
Yeah.
that as well? Kind of see what they already have and
Oh, absolutely. I had a guy come in from he worked at Lockheed, and he was an engineer, and he's
yeah.
super analytical. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
just like a super analytical guy. And he comes in and he tells me exactly he's turning 65. He can't decide if he wants to stay with his group insurance or if he wants to get off of his group insurance while continue to work, but be on Medicare. So he comes in and he dissects exactly how much he pays a month, how much his wife pays a month for this plan. And he goes through exactly what that looks like. I come in and I explain, okay, well, this is the IRMA charge. IRMA stands for income related monthly adjustment amount. So I explain that. And then I educate him on, you have to pay this every month. And then if you go with this plan, this is what it would look like. If you go with XYZ plan, this is what it would look like. And so it was just a snowball effect. And I think I spent like 2 hours with him, and they didn't sign up with me, but it was great because he had come to decide that staying on his group plan was the best option for him. But he gave me so many questions that really just got my wheels turning and got me to a point to where I needed to kind of work a little bit harder at what I was doing. And I really appreciate and enjoy that, because when I'm challenged on my career, my expertise, I mean, and I can get to the conclusion that's right, which, them staying on the plan, that's what was right. But you get to that conclusion, you do it all together, and it's like, heck yeah, man. Like,
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's I believe a true professional, somebody that's willing to do whatever it takes, even spend a couple hours on the phone with someone, knowing that at the end of the day, they're probably not going to get that business because it just doesn't make sense. But you're there to help that person walk through every little piece anyways. That's awesome.
Well, and anyone in a professional industry understands that people talk. And when you sit down and you care about what they're doing and you care about what their outcome looks like, they're going to go around and they're going to tell people about, oh, I met with this one agent who specializes in Medicare. And I mean, they spent their time, they gave me the kind of information that I needed to know. And that's whenever you really start to build a reputation and build a career for yourself, because you're really going out and you're doing something that's serving the community.
No, that's awesome. So out of all the things you could have done with your life, why Medicare? Why'd you choose this? Especially as a younger person, right?
I know, right? Yeah. I didn't at all. I didn't choose this.
It chose you.
I went to school, so when I went to school, I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a therapist. And then I realized like how much school that was. And I was like, oh gosh, no, we can't do that. And so then, sales was my calling. I'm such a enthusiastic person. I need to be in sales. And when I had graduated, I went into a consultant position and I worked as an analyst. And that was great. I loved it. It was awesome. Then I transitioned over into a sales position, and it just wasn't the right fit. The sales position itself was good, but sometimes the people that you work with make it a little bit difficult. And so we're trying to figure out, what is the best opportunity for me after I come out of that experience. And it was, you want to start an insurance agency? You want to learn about Medicare? What an adventure. Why not? Let's try it. And I will never forget whenever I first started, I was like, there's no way I will ever figure this out. No one will ever come to me and think that I actually know what I'm talking about. I cannot be an adequate professional. Like, I'm a fraud, all this and that. But now, being in the industry and really dissecting and learning as much as I have, I thoroughly enjoy it. I mean, I am just so passionate and grateful for the opportunity, because seniors really do need help dissecting what their options are and really figuring out what their plans look like. And I get to do that. And fun fact, I always wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, awesome.
But I wanted to make money. So I was like, I can't be a teacher. That's not going to work. And so where I'm at now, I get to be in an educational position, but I also, I get to get the sales that I get out of it. I mean, it's all absolutely perfect. I would not have chosen a different career with where I'm at now.
And I think that's true in just about any sales profession. I was a teacher and realized after
Were
4
you?
years, oh yeah, that wasn't it. I mean, I liked bits and pieces of it, but it didn't fulfill me, right? So getting into real estate, I always tell people I'm an educator that helps you with homes and knowing the market. It's my job to educate you on real estate, just like it is your job to educate seniors on Medicare. And the better you are able to communicate that to that person, the better your results are. So realistically, you're not selling, you're educating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so fruitful, honestly.
Absolutely. Now we have down in the little scroll there the how to get a hold of you. Is that the best way to get into your calendar if they have questions or they want to talk about their plans or their parents' plans?
Absolutely. Text, call. I don't think you can FaceTime, but send me an email. I mean, you can reach out to me in any way you want off these credentials. And then I'm also located over in the medical district in Fort Worth. So
Awesome.
Right off of Rosedale and 35 is where my office is. We typically have a bunch of flags out that say United Healthcare, Medicare, come talk to us. So definitely easy to find. And it's super fun. So no, reach out to me. I'd love to talk with anyone and everyone.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I already am smarter and know a little bit more about Medicare. Not much, but a little bit. But definitely, I really thank you for coming on and sharing your knowledge and obviously passion and love for what you do. And that just comes across anytime I talk to you. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah,
absolutely. It was so great to talk with you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Have a blessed day.
You too. Bye.